Well, it is 8:30, it's time to look.
Went to the tour.
We went through the tour, right? I forgot about it. It is 8:30, it's time for the weekly meeting of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. We have an agenda in front of us. Any additions, corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. It's been moved and second. Further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Tom, we will jump right down to you.
What a deal. At the wastewater plant, the concrete crew is going to be mobilizing out there this week. We're going to actually start building something. Henkel started digging out at the VVC plant. Looks like they're going to start building something probably towards the end of this week, beginning next week, and we'll start getting structures up, and it's going to be a real mess now. I'm going to have a meeting with the contractors probably the first week of September. I think we're going to start weekly progress meetings, and they'll be held on Tuesdays after this particular meeting. So what I'll be doing is trying to update you guys as much as I can foresee, and then bring up to speed the next time. If any of you guys actually wanted to be there, I can change the timing. So why don't you think about that, and then maybe next week when I stop by, we can chit chat, because there's no set time, there's no set day right now. I was just saying, I'm in town on Tuesdays, I'll get all taken care of. But if there's something any of you guys want to attend, I can make it a Wednesday instead, whatever works for you guys. So you guys think about it, and let's chat next week, okay? But you're more than welcome to show up, and I'll work around your schedule. It's not a problem. These guys don't even like having meetings, so it doesn't matter to them whether you have it. So,
Well, to get a little farther along, might be more interesting. Something besides a hole in the ground.
oh, I know, but you know how it goes, Joel. If we're behind in the beginning, we're behind at the end. So I always like to have these progress meetings a little bit early to make sure that we are on track. We start having too late. But yeah, if you guys want to wait until a later time, just you let me know.
Might just be bad. Well, we got it done. We got the tanks.
It's no big deal.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about timing next week, and I'll schedule around you guys' schedule.
He never brought us any t-shirts yet.
You know how long it takes to make that stuff? I've got children in the making that stuff right now. So, as soon as the thread counts are up high enough, we'll get it. All right, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right. See you guys next week then. Take care.
Item 2, County Attorney General Discussion.
I have nothing.
I have nothing right offhand.
It's been fairly quiet.
I mean, it really hasn't, but I just don't have anything to discuss with you guys.
Anything that we should...
Did you want to talk about that other issue that's not related to supervisor stuff? That you had emailed me on?
No, I think I'm okay with that. If,
Okay. All right.
Like you say, I'll go the other direction and see what he says. And,
okay.
And
all right.
Yeah, this is...
Do you want to discuss this while Mark's here?
Why don't we recess for 5 minutes? I'll talk to Mark here for a minute. Why don't we drop down to item 12C, discuss personnel policy. Lowell, do you want to explain what the issue is?
Well, there's a few employees that are carrying well over the 80 hours. The policy says maximum carryover each year.
That's vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, vacation.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And our personnel policy says...
says maximum carryover each year is 80 hours for a full-time 40 person. And there's one that's got, one or two probably got close to $200.
I truthfully have no problem if they want to carry it over, and I don't care if, when it comes to retirement time, if they have the last 5 months off. I mean,
I do.
Well, I have a policy if you're not going to abide by it.
They
And
haven't
I
got
know
enough
Mark always
help.
says it's not a contract, it's a guide.
If they haven't got enough help, they need to pull people in. I said they got plenty of part-time 15, 10s, and 20s. Somebody needs to take their time off and abide by the rules. Otherwise, let's just say everybody can do whatever they want.
I guess I just.
It's already bad enough with the sick leave. You got, how many, 9 months of that? And then plus vacation on top of that? Well, we'll be paying them well into their retirement.
Well, but they take it sooner or later. I mean, you're not,
Don't look at me.
No, I'd rather change the policy, because, I mean, what's the difference if they take it now or they take it 5 years from now?
I think the difference is the rate they get reimbursed at.
So there's that too.
Not really, then they worked at a lower rate. They put in a lot more hours at a lower rate. I mean, you get so much, you put in so much time for so much money every year regardless, whether you're actually on the job or getting paid for, it really is immaterial.
Then maybe on the other hand, we give too many hours vacation. If they can't find a time to take it, maybe there's just too much of it. Maybe we should just go to 2 weeks every year. I mean, I think it's very generous what we've got. And it's very generous of what they get to carry over. I know private enterprise doesn't carry over 80 hours, at max 40.
So either you abide by the policy
Yeah.
or you change it.
Either way, that, we throw the policy book out the window. We'll just do it on a person-by-person basis and see how far we get down the road with that. I read that the other day and I thought about this quite a bit over the weekend when we got in that email that there was all this time. And you have to ask yourself, why was all this time accumulated? When, you know, if they don't have enough help, then it's time to hire somebody else to help with the load, I guess. It's my feeling. I mean, how much sick leave did they have?
I don't know what they've got built up. But it'd be at max out at 90.
I think the county ought to really look at paid time off. That would cure all this.
Mhm.
Is there any
I guess I don't know how you'd,
statute or anything that says we could not go to paid time off? Maybe that's what we need to be looking at then. Give everybody a year to get their vacation used up and go to paid time off.
Here again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, okay?
Yep.
Greg's an elected official, he's in charge of his, what, Kurt didn't want me to say office, right? Department.
Office.
His
Yeah.
department, and if he chooses to, you know, the handbook is a handbook, it's just a guide, it's not a contract, and if he chooses to treat people differently, then Lowell chooses to treat his people, I mean, they're elected officials, they can, as long as it's within reason, they can run their department the way they want it to. You know my policy,
As long as they
my
give it-
opinion on personnel
give their
handbooks.
Appropriate paid time off, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, I know that the handbooks are a guide or whatever, but
either that or scratch out that
Because, you know,
carryover.
we've terminated people before, and it says in order to terminate people, you gotta do this, you know, this, and we, you know, just said, the heck with that, we're terminating you. You know, and that's fine, because the handbook is not a contract, it's just kind of a general informational piece of paper that neither party legally has to follow.
But if you don't, you run into problems. Because if you don't treat everybody the same, then you're gonna be standing probably before a judge, like, trying to explain why we didn't treat everybody the same.
Then you start looking at more unions.
And then, you
To
know,
some extent, we don't know, because there's people that take advantage of the sick days
I know.
that you know, and I
That's
know
why
that are
I'm
being.
thinking paid time
No,
off is
but I
the way to
mean,
go.
and there's other people that understand they're getting, and they don't take advantage of the sick days, they're never sick. And, so I mean,
I bet if we went to paid time off, you'd see all this evaporate. All the hours would be used up. So what's our problem today? What to do about it? Do you have a lot of folks, you got a lot of carryover time in your office?
No,
But-
they carry over the minimum
Yeah.
on occasion, but I don't think what we're talking about here today affects my guys.
And when one's gone, then you use reserve, or how do you?
I do, Joel, if it's, like this week, I'm covering calls because Jerry Jensen's on vacation. I didn't move anybody up. That way we got our coverage at night. But on occasion, there have been 5 shifts this month of August that I have covered with a reserve because I got a guy training. So we gotta have the coverage. It's at a lower rate, it works out. Yeah.
Well, if you had paid time off, would that be a problem for your office? If it all equaled the same?
I'd have to think about it. I don't wanna penalize the people that are doing it right.
Well, what I'm
Because
getting
some
at
of
is,
them aren't.
are some of these, are we encouraging in the county folks to, say, bank up 6 months sick leave, 6 months paid, or vacation time?
Well,
So
really,
that when we're time to retire, we can take that last year off?
I don't,
Wait till the January 1st and, oh, I'm gone.
yeah, I don't see that in my office, and we're not paying out our sick time at the end of the year. They just lose it.
Right.
but the idea of sick time is if you're really sick, we're able
That's
to
what
give
it's
you a
for.
wage, but you're not to use it if you aren't sick. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not really,
Kinda like the county's Aflac policy.
I mean, the sick thing is different than the vacation, but I mean, the vacation, like I say, I have no problem if you wanna work 4 years straight and never take a day off, and, as far as I'm concerned, I have no problem with that. If at the end you wanna, what's the difference?
Well, sometimes it's morale. I mean, people can get burnt out, and that's one thing the auditors ask, are people taking vacation that's coming to them?
Well, I mean, I realize part of it is if you're working with finance, because that way you can cook the books and, I mean, if somebody else never has a chance to look at the books or whatever, I mean, they want you to take, if you're working with finance, I understand it, but like you say, if somebody wants to work and you're happy about it, Lowell, why should we care? I mean, they're entitled to so much, and what's the difference if they take it this year or next year?
Well, I think the problem is they're not taking it,
Yeah, but why is it a problem?
because it just keeps building up.
So it builds up, what's the difference?
But sometime you're gonna pay it out.
So what's the difference if you pay it out? I mean, you're entitled to so many hours a week or hours a year.
Oh, I think 80 hours is plenty carryover. That's 2
That's
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, but what's the difference if they carried over, what's the difference if they carried 160? They earned it. I mean, they earned it, what's the difference?
No?
I mean, I just don't understand where the difference is.
Okay, so they
That or
take
don't
that.
let you carry it over.
So
Huh?
That or
you-
don't let people carry it over. You either use it or you don't.
But I think that's arbitrary. That's
Well,
arbitrary.
anything can be arbitrary. You can argue anything both sides.
So who requested that? Or is this just
Well,
something, this just something that surfaced?
it just surfaced, and it's just for your information, just to let you know, and that some people are going over what the policy says, so it's either, I'd say, we change the policy, eliminate that, or you insist these people only carry so much, and if they don't wanna use it, I guess they give it to the cause.
I guess I'd go ahead the other way and change the policy, and it's up to the department head how they want to run their department.
Well, I guess we're at an impasse.
Just so you're aware of it, because I
Well,
think
yeah.
you should be told aware that some of this exists. And
But I can see at some point in time that, just to pick on Craig since he's here, maybe he has a deputy that wants to go up to Alaska, make 4-week trip, drive up and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, basically, he could carry over the, and it ought to be up to Greg to allow that, or, I say maybe 1 year they don't take any vacation, the next year they want to take this long vacation because they have a.
Tell him to wait till 15 years, because then he has 160 hours and he can take the 4 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna go to Alaska for my shop.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I do.
I think it's just, it's a state of mental your mind and things, and
Well,
I see.
anyway. Thanks for notifying us on that.
okay, move on.
Okay, sheriff's report for July. I'm always amazed at every month how many permits to carry. I would have thought when the law changed, we'd have had this whole big, you know, in about 2 or 3 months, and we would have their review, but I mean, it just seems to be every.
It's pretty steady. There was a groundswell there initially, but it's tapered off. But we still get several a month.
What does that permit last a year, 5 year, 5 years?
It used to be annual renewals, now they're 5 years, went to $50.
$50.
No price change, it's just a 5-year renew now, it's still $10 a year, but
No, it's $5 a year, wasn't it, to renew before?
The only reason you need a permit to carry is if you want to carry it on your person.
right. Yeah, if you want to go hunting with a handgun, you can put it in your vehicle in case, you know, just like a long gun.
When you
You're
get out
target
and
shooting
as
or
long as it's
whatever.
visible, you're fine.
Yeah.
So just don't ride in the vehicle with the gun on.
Conceal it,
So
right,
make sure it's visible.
right. Or in the case, whatever.
I'm just asking. I don't have, I'll make a motion to approve the sheriff's report.
Second, and don't stop at a watering hole when,
I'll put it in the case.
well, I was gonna say, when you're riding your bicycle. don't have-
Unload it in the case.
Yeah, do that.
Well, I don't know, when we used to get stuff for hunting, and that was a big,
It was, yeah.
you didn't have shit on the
Oh,
table.
no.
I know some people that did, they usually had a hole in the floorboard.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Further discussion. Vote Lander.
Aye.
Block, aye, motion carried. How many at the Crowbar Hotel this?
There's 4 this morning.
I see we have over 5, so,
What's that?
so we averaged over 5.
Yeah, there's 4 in this morning.
Basically,
So
so.
it cycles. 3 of them have been there for several weeks. And then a drunk driver that was in a farm place last night, southwest of the county, Mason City. So, did that myself. Otherwise, I don't have anything. So you guys have questions for me or anybody in the room?
Very decent. I mean,
Carpenter went well. There was a 4-wheeler accident in Orchard recently. But other than that, it's been pretty good.
Was that you want me to sign a second one, or is that?
Yeah, I'd like to have, one goes to treasurer and one stays with me.
Were they doing something illegal? Or
Well,
was
we got
just
the report, I believe, 2 days after the fact, so it's kind of hard for us to determine exactly what went on.
What kind of report then? I mean, from Highway Patrol or something?
No,
or-
citizen report.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. What did,
Do I need to sign that?
what did,
Yeah.
I mean, what did the report say, or
There was a 18-month-old that was injured, and the mother wanted a police report, I suppose for insurance purposes. And that's all it said, and the deputies followed up on Jerry's going, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, Carpenter went well. We had the issues up there that were already significant, so things pretty good.
Well, and last week I was invited to the Winnebago over at Forest City, that they're looking at building a new jail. And so they wondered about how things, because we had been here 12 years ago on this and that, and I basically, my opinion was that they really ought to take a real good look at what Worth County done. I mean, from the standpoint that if you can use a dispatcher at night, smaller whatever, you don't need to house 27 people. You know, most of the time we house less than 6 or 8. You know, you really, for what costs and everything else, if you run over, farm them out, but try to make it cost effective. And
What are they gonna do? Have they made a decision?
no, they're just in the, so I don't know if you want to give them any input at some point. What you
Oh, the
think.
sheriff's already called me
Oh, okay.
different times, and they've done their transportation studies and all that stuff, just like we did. Yeah, he's called.
But I mean, you know, like I say, if one person can manage 5, 6, 8 people, during the day you have some help in that, but at night if you don't need it, to me that's anyway the way I would look at it is cost effective, and I mean, you know, you have to try to make things. So
Yeah.
They were looking at going with Forest City, they kind of joint,
Yeah.
joint building.
Yeah, I think the police were probably again, and Davis and Chief was probably at the same meeting. That makes the most sense.
they were all there. You could speed out of town. No, I said you could.
The fire and ambulance want to build a new facility too over there. And that's, maybe it should all be under one.
Well, it sounds like everything they've got is pretty antiquated.
It is, yeah, much like we were, you know, that building that the sheriff's office is housed in now, I worked out of 20 years ago, and it was water in the basement then. And so it hasn't changed much, they just try to keep it going, you know, save money year after year, and it's, you know, at a point, they've got to make a decision. So, yeah.
Anything else for Sheriff Beaver? Okay, thank
I'm
you,
gonna
David.
duck out on you guys.
Sure.
Around, so, have a good day.
Do that.
Take care.
County Engineer Brown is here. Take the hot seat there. I mean, have a seat.
Morning.
Good, Mark.
How are you today, sir?
Still fighting the fight. A couple things. Claudia gave me these invoices for some drainage district work that was done, and apparently it's been, even before I got here, we were done in 08. She says they're still in the books. I don't know why it's come up now, but they're bills that haven't been paid that secondary roads and done in the district. Should I talk to Barb about that?
Nobody squealed yet?
What do you mean? I mean,
The bills that haven't been paid in 2008,
us.
if I was the contractor, you'd
no, they're paid, we're the contractor.
Oh, you're the contractor. Okay.
So they're done in the drainage district, and I don't know, since it was before I got here, I don't know what happened, why we didn't, why the district didn't get assessed the, I mean, it's a small amount of money. I mean, it's probably,
Hopefully there's some money in this.
I know Worth County,
Funds, so
Worth
we-
County always tries to carry a fund balance in them, so that
Mm, we
little
do
things
too.
like this pop up.
So
they
you don't
just
have
pay-
to assess everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you try to assess $200, and it's, who's gonna write a check for 50 cents, or whatever they've gotta pay.
And maybe at the time there wasn't money in it, but look, I'll check.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then this other thing was the taxes.
Taxes, yep.
Yeah, what, do we abate them, or what do we do with that since we own the property?
Well, that should be for taxes that were in arrears, so I would think there should have been something when was closed on that, there should have been some money coming from the property owner to cover that.
Should we just hold on to this, or what should I do with it?
I checked with, I think Mark Locke had dealt with that and see if there would have been some money that, I mean, it's not much, but
No.
to me, that should be part of previous owner of that property.
Okay, well, I just was curious what to do with it.
Is that the industrial park?
I think so, yeah.
How much is it?
Well, $27.
Half,
Yeah.
so 54.
$54 per year. I mean, I just didn't know what we were doing with it. It was something I gave Claudia, and she said ask about it, because I don't know if we pay property tax on that kind of land or not. I didn't think of it.
Well, we don't, but there should have been some.
I'll check with Mark.
Okay.
Rock run continues. You guys see what you like there on Friday when we did our drive-through? I thought it was kind of interesting to see the difference in the quality of rock that we're getting compared to them. Did you guys get to run on March then on your way back?
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff down there. That
I
was
see it's
very
been-
interesting.
I see it's been bladed again, so trying to mix all the fines in it. It is a little more blade.
No, that makes more sense. I mean, they basically know their quarries. They know, like you said, when we went out to, was it the Wagner quarry out here? And you can see the various layers, I mean, how that, and so you know that this layer is a lot harder than this layer, and I mean, how they have to try to,
How they gotta mine that just to get it into their specifications for the beds, you know. So anyway, the rock run continues. I haven't gotten an update yet on where they're at, what percentage they have done. Seems like they're moving pretty well in the northeast corner there. We had another meeting with FEMA last week again. I am expediting the procedure for DNR on the Corps. In fact, there's a procedure that I'm talking with Homeland Security on now, where I don't really have to get their full-blown permission to do these bridges now. It was something they want documented, but when I talked to DNR yesterday, since they wouldn't answer their phone Friday, there's a procedure that the DNR worked with Homeland Security back in 2008 to avoid everybody submitting all this stuff that didn't need to be submitted so that they can get stuff approved and moved on. So until I get a call back from Homeland Security, we're still getting, I called the rail car pipe company, and I'm waiting for a response from them to get our pipe for these two bridges so we can get that stuff moving. I hope to have something out the door early next week. If I can get the pipe lined up, I want to get some quotes out there to get these two things set up and done. The Hickory Avenue shop drawings came in. We've got the final, the signed contract. I'm reviewing the shop drawings. They'll go out today so that the manufacturer can start manufacturing the boxes. They've got that late start date. I don't remember what the date is, but we're running into, they want these things built because when they come in, and it's not going to take very long to take the bridge out and put those boxes in. They want kind of to synchronize the delivery that when they're ready for them, they can ship them instead of stockpiling. But anyway, that's in the works. We got our AMZ machine back from Worth County. We're going to be starting to do some of that when we get some freed up time.
any idea on that Hickory box, what they think?
No, we haven't had a pre-con yet. We do have the pipe done that's south of there, so we're going to open that up later, hopefully, and people can travel. Weight restriction's still on the bridge yet, but cars and stuff can get through, so that'll be nice for them until Peterson Contractors comes in and starts closing it again for that box culvert. I would think a timeline, this is based on Worth County's project. We don't have to pave this one. I think they can have that done in a couple, 3 weeks. So I think it should go pretty fast. So the contract.
Any idea when they could be done with the culverts? I mean, like you say,
No, actually, what they want, they called me last week, and I asked for permission instead of forgiveness from the DOT because I don't want to get in trouble either. But they were ready to manufacture the boxes last Tuesday, we just didn't have the contracts. I was just sending contracts back to the DOT because I just got them back from the contractor, so they wanted to start slamming these things out. They could have a couple sections built already, but I don't know what their time frame is for getting them done, but
Okay.
as soon as I get back to the office and send the shop drawings back to the contractor, they can send them off to the manufacturer, and they can start working. They had the forms all set up, ready to go.
The box coffers, they come in pieces.
Yeah, these are gonna be 16-foot, I mean, not 16, 6-foot sections that weigh about 16 tons. So, two lines of 12
Who
foot by
sets
10
those?
pound. The contractor sets all that
Oh,
stuff.
the crane and all that.
Yeah, they'll have a crane and everything. Most of the stuff will be done by Peterson contractors, and they have one traffic control subcontractor and one seating contractor. I was gonna bring the tax exempt forms, I must have forgot them in the office. I'll bring them back to you later. They have the exempt form for the contractor, so he doesn't pay tax on materials. So. At any rate, that's where we're at this week in secondary roads. There was going to be County was doing a paving project this morning. I was going to try to race down to, but I'm not going to do it there and back in time. They're doing a fabric interlayer they're doing a concrete on concrete overlay with a fabric interlayer. One, it's a project similar to what I'm going to be doing in Worth County, but two, something we can try here when we start having to overlay concrete roads. I wanted to see how it worked, but I can't make it down there today, so I'll have to skip it and find another one to go to sometime. But I think that's everything I've got for you. You guys got any questions?
And that fabric overlay,
Mm-hmm.
do they
It's an
crack
interlayer.
interlayer, but do they crack the pavement?
Nope.
below?
That interlayer is there just so that the new concrete doesn't bond to the old one. If you don't get the bonding, that bottom one can move around where it wants to, and the top one can do what it needs to.
Usually what the bottom is moving like.
Well,
this.
and I'm not saying if there's any heaving that it won't reflect through, but
That'd be my biggest worry.
we don't have a lot of pavement that's doing a lot of the heaving anymore. If you keep the moisture out of it, it shouldn't move up and down very often. That's the thing. They're doing this now. They do a similar thing. If you've got a lot of movement in your pavement, they'll crack it. But they're also using 1 inch of asphalt as an interlayer also.
Okay.
Well, by calculation, 1 inch of asphalt is 50,000 per inch per mile. The fabric's probably, when it's all said and done, maybe $25,000 per mile. So if you put down a 3/8 inch fabric interlayer, you put down 1 inch of asphalt. If you've got a pavement that maybe looks like it could use a little bit more structural support, maybe you would put 1 inch down, but most of the time we've got a 6 inch pavement.
I'll fix the overlay.
Theirs is gonna be, I think they're doing a 6 inch overlay. In Worth County, I'm doing 5. We don't have the traffic they do on their roads, but it's 5 inches on, in Worth County, we're doing 5 inches on top of 6 inches. So we're gonna have an 11 inch structure going on.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how that works out.
So they'll have some more of these projects coming up. I know there was one did not long ago again, so.
Well, maybe you can pay mileage and send Penny down to
Video it?
get an hour's worth of video and then.
I think the paving association will be down there. They might. There's video out there. It just would be nice to see how standing next to the paver how it is.
Yeah. No, it's,
So, in addition, I'm working on the annual report and getting that squared away too. Julie Bowers is coming to the conservation board, and I think she wanted to meet with me this afternoon, talk about that bridge a little bit, or tell me what her information she got.
Yeah, that's something that you may want to attend to, Supervisor Volkmander's conservation thing, because this Julie Bowers is the gal from, basically, yeah, Bridge
Nonprofit
Historical.
Bridge Historic Society thing.
And she's been working pretty diligently, I understand, trying to get some things done, and it wouldn't hurt for.
She's gonna come to my office. Well, she asked if I'd be around this afternoon. She hasn't confirmed that she would come visit. I'm gonna go in my office, lock my door, and
Tell her you're not here.
take the phone off the hook and get some
work done.
peace and quiet. So,
Anything else for County Engineer Brown?
alright,
If not, well, I thank you kindly.
thank you.
Minutes?
Motion to approve. Read 'em.
second that. Then moved in second, further discussion. Hearing none, Voigtlander.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried. I would like to move next funding request for City of Mitchell Park. If we give them some money, that hopefully that we could do a handwritten claim for them so that they can try to get this grant from Worth County. They need 25% of.
Well, this is interesting. We're moving down to that one, okay? Had a number of people contact me this past week, and it doesn't sound like the whole city of Mitchell is on board with this. So, if we were gonna give them anything, it'd be contingent upon approval of their city council.
Okay.
So, and that's the way I said I'd do it. I said I didn't wanna come across as not being helpful to the county because this enhances quality of life. But it seems to be that there's a lot of controversy over whether or not City of Mitchell should spend $50,000 for 13 kids on a park that maybe is in the wrong place, and I said, I don't wanna get into the political aspects of whatever it is goes on in your city, but I said I'd make a motion to give $1,500 contingent upon the City of Mitchell requesting it for that. And that would have to come through their council or whatever.
That the city would request it.
The city would have to request it from the county, not, you know, for this project.
Well, they are meeting tonight,
Okay.
6 o'clock. Part of what is going on there is the city is not being asked to put up $50,000. The city was asked to put up $3,200.
I don't know, but,
Yeah, I've been attending the meetings.
yeah, and then the one, I don't wanna mention any names, but she said she wouldn't let her kids play there. So, I mean, you know, so there's a little bit of controversy, and I think if they can all get together on the same page, I'm fine with it, but if not, I mean, I don't want the county to be thrown, I mean, I'm willing to do something like that. I mean, I like seeing kids having a good time.
Well, right now, the kids play in the street.
Yeah,
And,
it's a traffic count up there anyway.
well, the worst of it is that basically that street, his main street, the one that goes by the church, 25-mile-an-hour speed limit that normally is 45 miles an hour.
But anyway, that would be my motion if you wanna second it, that's mine too.
Well, but
I don't care, but that's what I told them I could do. I didn't wanna, I know there's a group that really wants this, and a group that's questioning it, so
well, part of
maybe we
what,
get on the same page.
well, part of what, and I don't quite understand it either, but part of what they're hollering about is they wanted to set $30,000 aside for a motor grader. Their motor grader is a 1949. It has no issues, but they think at some point in time they might not be able to find any parts for the motor grader. Well, talking to Engineer Brum, and I guess we could still corral him here yet, but they only have 1 or 2 roads that they ever grade. And in the wintertime, they have, they said if they really have a heavy snow, they might need something else to bust through it. Their truck won't bust through it. Well, again, the county's right there. They could bust through it for them. I mean, why spend $30,000 on a piece of equipment you might use twice a year? I mean, that doesn't make sense for that town either.
I know, I'm not on that council, so
No,
I'm not.
but I'm just
yeah,
saying,
I know what you're
these
saying.
little towns are gonna have to try to
That's
figure
their
out how to,
decision.
Yeah, that's
what's
what,
that,
I
Mo?
said, that's their decision.
Well, yeah, but I
They don't
mean,
come in here and tell supervisors how to run things, so.
well, but on the other hand,
They're elected by the people to represent their town.
that this is fine. But there's a quality of life too that, if we can help out, that's all I'm saying, if we can help out, and it's really not costing us anything for the little bit of whatever, why not help out?
Well, but like Joel says, I think that makes sense. The request comes from the city of Mitchell.
No, he meant something on road grader,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rich lent the city of Osage a motor grader when one of theirs went down this last winter, so I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to government entities working together and helping out each other, but, yeah. That's a question that they'll have to wrestle with, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's,
I know there's the one gal, she didn't like where it was gonna go, she don't think that's proper, and I said,
well, it's half a block from the tavern.
you know, the basketball and the tennis court's right across the street from the tavern, so that's where kids play too, and they evidently she wanted to upgrade that too.
Well, you have a playground by the dam there.
yeah,
Maybe them and conservation could get together and.
Oh, there's one by there?
for sure.
Well, maybe that's another thing, maybe it could be.
You really want your 6-year-olds down there where the water is, and you know how 6-year-olds are curious with the water, the dam and so on?
Yeah.
Is that your ideal situation?
Do you want them right by a bar?
Yeah, I'd rather have them up at the bar than I would by the dam. They aren't drinking outside at the bar.
Well, the thing of it is.
But they
too,
come
if
outside to smoke.
If they were down at that park, and during the week, there's nobody there, so if you got kids down there, you know, you better tell Greg to get some dragging equipment, cause you'll probably have to drag the river once in a while. You know, I know my wife would go crazy, you know, she'd never let kids go near the water, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not trying to,
But that's, like I say, that's something
That's their
Mitchell's gonna
thing.
have to work out.
That's
I-
their thing.
But I told him, I said, I don't wanna come across as that, and this was out of our hotel motel tax, because Mitchell has never asked for anything.
No, and some of these others have done work in other communities.
so if the city council tonight gives their okay, can we sign a hand warrant so they can get it in so
As
that
long
we
as they,
can?
in writing, they'll need to request for that project.
Because like I say, they're meeting tonight in special
Okay.
session.
Oh, special, all right.
Yep.
All right, well,
And,
that's fine.
in order to get that grant in for the Worth County grant, they have to have 25% of the cash. And so the first phase of their project was gonna be $25,000. So they need,
And it wouldn't hurt the city up there if they really wanna they need to maybe write a letter to the, saying that this is something they want, Worth County. You know, more you can get that way, you'd think it'd carry a little more weight. So,
well, they basically had agreed already that this, I mean, like you say, this is,
I don't even.
this is something else, but, I mean, they already agreed that the Park and Rec thing that Jessica was part of was gonna be under the city council. That it's a line item of the city council. And so,
Well, I applaud her, she's done a lot of work, I mean,
Mhm.
you know, she brought
And she
pretty
had
darn good.
genuine concern
Yeah.
with children, but
But I think we all need to get together on
yeah,
something
I
like
mean,
that.
parents gotta, if kids are in the street, that's the parents' issue.
Yeah, and that's,
you're never gonna, in any of these towns, you're never gonna get 100% of anybody supporting 100% of everything. I don't care how you wanna look at it. There's always somebody that has a reason why it can't work.
well,
So, I seconded that, didn't I?
No,
I'll second that. You said 15 minutes.
right.
Further discussion? And so we'll, if the city drafts a letter, we'll do a hand warrant here this weekend. Is that?
okay.
That's fine. That's part of the motion, I guess.
Yep. Volklander.
Aye.
Well, aye, motion carried. Let's go back then to approve the claims. There was a claim in there, Lowell, for, under secondary roads for, in the book it shows 720 gallons of ethanol by secondary roads, and when you do the math, that would have been $4.60 cents. It should have been $920, or 920 gallons. Not that it's, I mean, it's not a big deal, but when it shows up in the paper that we were paying over $4.60 a gallon for ethanol, somebody would wonder what we're. It's under second.
Which vendor? K&H, K&M, all right here, which.
Johnson.
Johnson.
The 9 looks like a 7, that's the problem.
Okay.
See that on the slip here? So it's 920.
That looks like a 7.
That's what I say, that's why. Let's make that correction, so it's not in the paper looking like we spent.
Well, it wouldn't be in the paper that way, it would be a total.
Well, just,
But yeah, it should be 920 degrees, so. Yeah, somebody just did it too fast. When they wrote that.
well, even the audit could catch that. I mean, if they go through our
Yeah.
claims like this and then.
Yeah, they might pick something out. Yeah, it looks like it should be 360 gallon.
I make a motion to approve the claims.
Yeah.
I will second that with that correction.
Yeah, with the correction. Yeah, we want to correct
Yeah,
that.
here it says 920 on here.
Yeah.
I'll mention that to Claudia.
Okay. Further discussion. Volkman.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried. Funding request for the City of Carpenter Barbecue Bash. They came in last Tuesday. I think we talked about $500 and we couldn't act on it then, but my understanding is they had a good turnout and this and that. I would move once,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Nope, don't mind, I'll second that.
We moved and second $500 for the Carpenter Bash. Further discussion. Hearing none, Walk, aye, Volkman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of tax suspensions.
There's 3 of them that the treasurer gave me last week. 2 of them are continuation from past years that we receive each year. One is on Gary and Luann Eggers on account of her petition, Department of Human Services, 1,058. The other is Bernard and Betty Anderson. Eggers is in section 15, Statesville Township. Bernard and Betty Anderson's is in Osage, TIF area E, lots 5 and 6. That's $240. And then we have another one, and that's also Department of Human Services. And the third one is for Alice Gurk here in Osage, Maple Lane Development, Block 14 and Block 63. Per petition, Department of Human Services, $438. And recommend that these be approved.
It should be noted that I think a lot of people feel that the taxes are being forgiven. They're not forgiven. They are just suspended. At some point in time, if the property is going to get sold, they have to, I believe that taxes have to be paid. Is that correct, Lowell?
That is right, where they can get a title on it.
And if they don't have enough, that it would go on tax sale, wouldn't it? If there
Yes.
isn't enough to where somebody wants to.
I'd make a motion to approve the 3 tax suspensions.
Second. It's been moved and second to approve the tax suspensions. Further discussion. Volkman.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried. We have a request from A to Z Drying for a zoning change. Zoning Director Ross, would you want to address this?
We had Metro County Planning and Zoning met last Tuesday evening on a request from A to Z and Drain for a rezoning of property just on the south side of Osage. The board did unanimously approve the request. There were some public there, and they asked for some conditions that the Penn folks were fine with, because they were gonna do those anyway. Those requests were that to try and leave all trees that they could possibly on the property, so it provides a little bit of buffer zone between homeowners and the new rezoned area. Dust control to be applied on gravel entrances. A to Z always does that anyway. And they asked about some settling ponds, if A to Z could possibly do that, and A to Z had already hired an engineer to come in and study the feasibility of putting in some controlled settling ponds to keep there's a lot of heavy rain runoff that goes across T38 towards the new homes over there, and so the neighbors were concerned about that. But the settling ponds should not only stop that, it should slow down the amount that's headed that way. So the neighbors were all quite happy with that. And like I said, it was unanimously approved, and as long as you guys approve the rezoning, it will be rezoned.
So I take it your recommendation is that
That you approve the rezoning.
Okay, what was the present, what's the present zoning?
The present zoning as lettered, I kind of forget it, but it'll say here, AG district to light industrial.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the recommendation from the planning and zoning to rezone from AG to light industrial, the property owned by the A to Z.
second, further discussion. Hearing none, vote by the
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Items to note, meetings attended. Basically, I told you about my one meeting.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Mark.
You bet.
Okay. Landfill meeting last Tuesday evening, executive board meeting. We just conducted regular landfill business. We did have a whole session. I can't go into that. You can always go online and the FMC landfill homepage, and all the minutes are put there if you really want to put in that. We have a good secretary that writes good. I think she writes very good minutes. I just have to chuckle every time I read them. They don't read like a novel, but anyway, that was that. And then an 8:15 at Prairie Ridge Executive Board meeting. We discussed tuition reimbursement and tuition well, I think it's tuition funding, I guess. If you're going to go to school, I think it's going to cost. Carry a certain grade point average or whatever, that Prairie Ridge would help out these different individuals getting their, I think they're going to get their masters or something like that. And that has to do with them being able to continue, being the clinicians or whatever you want to call them over there. They feel that they have high quality folks on board, they get, more business, so to speak. Then we went into stuff talking about the Affordable Care Act and how it will affect Prairie Ridge, and that is just an ongoing headache for them over there because this thing seems to change weekly. And they are, one thing I will say is they're proactive rather than reactive. They're looking at different organizations, and in fact now Jay wanted to sit down with Bob Lincoln and what I thought of that. I said, I emailed Bob and said that basically that's between you and Jay, and they'll have to talk it over. If there's something that, one can help the other, it's fine. So anyway, that was that meeting, and then on the 16th, that meeting with engineer and box, we rode around, looked at the different rock and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then on Sunday, I went to the hospital's open house in their new surgical wing, and they said I could have this car, so it was worth going. And that was my meeting there.
Okay. Manure management plan update?
We got 3 of them. We'll have one from the Cooper Hog Site 1, Myron and Ross Cooper, in section 34 of Mitchell Township. We have the Tooker Tip 12 Finisher Farm, owned by Select Farms in Wayne Township. And we have the Wheeler Finisher Farm in section 25 of Wayne Township.
Very end.
Yeah, I got Wayne on, just 3 spots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the cause? Anybody have any? Hearing none. Randy, you don't have anything to say this morning?
Anybody know?
Okay. Hearing none, we will stand adjourned at 9:28. Thank you kindly. Everybody coming.